This is KGW News at 11.
And we start this Christmas Eve with a developing situation in the Goose Hollow neighborhood. A stabbing at a Max platform left one person dead and shut down train lines. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Tim Gordon. This all happened about 6:30 tonight. Investigators just cleared the scene at the Goose Hollow Max station. Art Edwards has been following this developing story and joins us live from Southwest Portland. Art.
And Tim, just a few minutes ago, the last of the police officers did leave here, but the train that was involved in this is still at the Goose Hollow Max station right now. Now, police have confirmed that one man is dead in this incident. Investigators believe that this all started as an altercation on the Providence Park Max platform at Southwest 18th and Morrison. That's about a block away. It's one stop from here. Now, the victim got on a train after the attack, and when it got to the Goose Hollow platform, police arrived. They found the man with a stab wound. Police began medical aid. An ambulance eventually took the victim to a local hospital where he was later declared dead. No arrests have been made yet, but police do not believe that there is any kind of an ongoing threat to the public. This is an act of violence that has hit police hard.
It's Christmas Eve, so for something like this to happen on a holiday is just awful. So I speak for everyone at the Bureau when I say our thoughts are with the victim's family and friends tonight.
Now, Max blue and red lines have been disrupted because of this incident. Shuttle buses are being used between the Sunset Transit Center and the Galleria Southwest 10th Avenue station. These lines are going to be disrupted probably for several more hours if you happen to be traveling through this area. Back to you.
Tragic situation on Christmas Eve. Art, thanks a lot for the report. Well, it has been a busy Christmas Eve for investigators around the region. Portland police say one person died in this early morning car crash. This was a scene just after 1 a.m. near the intersection of North Columbia Boulevard and Oregonian Avenue. Just one car was involved, but a passenger died at the scene, despite the work of paramedics. No word on if the driver will face charges. In Fairview, investigators are working to determine what sparked a house fire that killed one person. Crews responded to the home near I-84 just after 10:30 this morning. Firefighters tell us that several more people were injured in that fire. And down in Eugene, a mother and her 16-month-old son were rushed to the hospital after they were hit by a car while crossing the street. This happened last night, police telling us the little boy was knocked out of his stroller. He was airlifted to a hospital here in Portland while his mother was rushed to a Eugene hospital, both with potentially fatal injuries. The driver was arrested and police say he is cooperating. However, they are investigating if that driver was impaired or speeding. Well, these tragedies come on a weekend when many of us are with our families. AAA estimates that more than 7.5 million Americans have flown this weekend, with more than 100 million making long drives to get to grandmother's house. Well, you didn't have to drive far to see Christmas Eve celebrations across the region tonight. One of the big ones, Christmas on Franklin in Vancouver. There are 200,000 lights with Christmas themes decking out the entire block. And on Christmas Eve, a snowstorm every hour, on the hour until 10 o'clock. This celebration at 46th and Franklin has been building for 15 years and thousands come out to see it. Jim Maines leads this and other holiday events. He says it's a wonderful group effort by all the neighbors.
We just love celebrating all the holidays, and Christmas is always our favorite, and it's the big one. And, you know, it's just a great way to bring the community together, and it's really become kind of a community gathering place.
And right across the street at Our Lady of Lourdes Catholic Church, people took part in services celebrating the birth of Christ with a Christmas Eve Mass at 5 and another at 8 o'clock tonight. Some beautiful music included there. Christmas Eve is a time to reconnect with friends and family, but not everyone is lucky enough to have loved ones or even a hot meal to eat. Today, Potluck in the Park hosted their annual Christmas dinner for those in need at the Portland Art Museum. They've been fighting hunger since 1991. Our Sydney Dorner has the story.
Living on the streets can be especially rough during the holidays, but homeless people we spoke with say a warm plate and a smile can make a world of a difference. Stefan Ferche says just last year he was living on the streets.
I lost a lot of my family, and I've transitioned from being homeless and on the streets. And through the place I work and the community, I'm now housed and inside this year, and it's great because it's cold and I'm old, and that would suck.
Ferche works for Ground Score Association, which provides garbage service for those living in tents and camps. He says it's easy to feel isolated while in survival mode, and events like this bring the homeless community together.
You're not with your family, and this is a family environment, and it makes it feel like family, because as homeless folks, we all are a family, one way or another.
Randy Brooks says he spent plenty of nights outside being wet and cold. Things looked up for him when he got into a program that helped him get back on his feet.
Most people appreciate it, that they have an opportunity to have somewhere like this to come to and to get a meal and then maybe have a few gifts and things like that, because a lot of the people out there on the street don't have places where they can go and get stuff like this.
Overall, homeless people I spoke with say they just want to be understood and are very appreciative of any help they receive.
We're not trying to harm the city. A lot of us didn't choose to be where we're at. We just are. And again, work with us and not against us.
Sydney Dorner, KGW News.
Well, do you have your Christmas shopping done yet? And if not, sorry, it's really way too late. Most stores are closed for the night at this point. The National Retail Federation expects U.S. holiday sales will rise 3 to 4% November through December. That's a little lower than last year, the first holiday out of the pandemic, which saw almost 6% growth. But this year is consistent with numbers that we saw in the years before COVID-19. Well, if you still got some traveling to do, there's rain to deal with and some places that are freezing up as well. Ashley Graham's in the Weather Center with the details. Ashley, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Tim. Good to be here with all of you. Just under 1 hour away from the big day. Let's talk about some of those temperatures. As Tim mentioned, it's fairly cold out there tonight. We're looking at 42 degrees in Portland and in Vancouver, 42 out in Troutdale. It's much colder on the eastern side of the state as well. Hood River, 30 for the Dalles, 35, John Day 27. Although Bend, one of those areas that's warmed up just a bit compared to last night, 34 degrees right now, and we're looking a little warmer on the coast as well. 50 degrees in Newport, 48 in Tillamook, 46 in Astoria. Many of these colder temperatures lasting into Christmas Day tomorrow. But as Tim was talking about, we're going to see some of that rain. It's already coming our way. Here's our radar here from the past 3 hours. Look how much moisture is off the coast, already hitting Tillamook, Newport, Astoria. If you're in Salem, Eugene, Corvallis, seeing some of those showers as well. Only a matter of time before that makes its way into the metro area and then heads over toward Mount Hood. Now, one of those areas we are keeping our eye on tonight is going to be Hood River, Cascade Locks, the Gorge, because we could see some freezing rain. If you're headed out on 84 or 35 tomorrow, going to want to take some extra time. We're expecting to see some ice on the road, and we could see between 1/10 of an inch and 1/4 of an inch. That's all starting tonight, lasting into tomorrow. Of course, we'll continue to track that and get you your 7-day forecast coming up. Tim?
Yep, for sure. If you're out that way, hunker down. Better not to travel if you can help it. Thanks, Ashley. Well, new tonight, Washington County detectives say someone broke into the Rice Northwest Museum of Rocks and Minerals. Deputies responded to an alarm just before 2:30 this morning. It looks like the thief stole several gold items, though investigators aren't saying how much everything is worth. They did get a look at a suspect in security video. You see there. All right, still to come tonight. In the middle of war, Ukrainians are ready to celebrate Christmas on December 25th. Why that date is actually a few weeks early for the folks in that country. Plus, the first major travel headache of the holiday season. Why dozens of flights were grounded for several hours this morning. On this Christmas Eve, Pope Francis prayed for peace and for those suffering from war. Francis performed Mass at St. Peter's Basilica tonight and spoke to crowds in Vatican City this morning. During the service, the Pope lamented that Jesus' message of peace was being drowned out by the, quote, futile logic of war. The Pope's message comes amid violence in the Holy Land. The Israeli military continues to engage Hamas all over the Gaza Strip. Bethlehem, the birthplace of Jesus, is normally busy with tourists this time of year, but it looks empty with Christmas Eve celebrations called off and heavy security in place. Jay Gray reports from Tel Aviv.
Good evening. And on Christmas Eve, the fighting continues in Gaza. On the ground, they are focused in the central part of Gaza, near Gaza City, trying to root out, the IDF says, command and control centers and working to eliminate tunnel networks within that region. From the air, they continue strikes to the north and say that's something that will continue until Hamas is gone and the hostages are returned. But talks on that front seem to have stalled at this point. In Bethlehem, that city most years is a festival. Thousands of tourists, ornaments, lights, music, a massive Christmas tree. But this year, there is no celebration there. The nativity scene at one church near Manger Square, framed by rubble. It's clear that those who live in Bethlehem, the holy city, their hearts, their minds are with their friends and loved ones 50 miles away in Gaza. I'm Jay Gray in Tel Aviv, NBC News.
Well, despite the war in Ukraine, they are celebrating Christmas there. They're actually celebrating early. Ukraine passed a law in July this year, moving the nation's Christmas celebration from January 7th to December 25th. Ukraine had celebrated on January 7th for years because that's the tradition used by Russia. The aim of the new law is to, quote, abandon the Russian heritage and focus on creating Ukraine's own traditions. We'll be right back. You know, it's been a pretty easy holiday season for travelers around the U.S. until today. Dozens of flights were canceled at Chicago airports thanks to a lot of dense fog there. The FAA issued a ground stop at Midway Airport, which is where the bulk of the cancellations were reported for several hours. Midway is in the southern part of Chicago. In the northern part of the region, O'Hare Airport also experienced 15 cancellations there. A lot of thick fog. Yeah, so we have had it good. We've got a few spots, though, that are going to be getting interesting now, though, right?
Right. We're already starting to see some of that rain. We're going to see a little cascade snow. But the first area to get that rain is the coast. Let's take a look outside right now at Newport. And we were just seeing a couple showers flaring on our lens out here just after the 11 o'clock hour. The first place to see the rain is going to be the coast. Then, of course, that's going to move inland towards the metro area. Let's take a look at our radar here over the past 6 hours. You can see this giant mass of precipitation making its way toward western Oregon and then going to move even further toward Mount Hood and the Cascades as well. If you're someone who is planning on traveling, well, we're going to see the bulk of that snow here in the next few hours, but really not intense, maybe 2 inches or so on mountain passes. Here's a look right now at Timberline. You can see not snowing, but they did get 1 inch of powder today, 27 degrees there right now. This, of course, prompting a few weather alerts for us. We do have a winter weather advisory here. That's the purple covering most of Washington and Oregon right now. One of the specific areas we are going to take a look at is the Dalles, Hood River. If you're traveling 84 tomorrow or 35, going to want to take it slower. We're expecting to see some freezing rain there because of how cold temperatures are right now. And then when we see that rain come in, we could see between 1/10 of an inch and 1/4 of an inch, and that is going to land as ice on the roadway. If you're headed out for Christmas dinner tomorrow, going to want to take it slow. We also see a beach hazard statement here. That's the purple along the coast. That's going to be a warning for sneaker waves. I hope no one's going in the water right now, but if you are walking along the coast, maybe you have a dog, small children, make sure you stay extra far away. You never want to turn your back to the ocean and see any kind of sneaker wave come up behind you. Let's take a look at the passes right now. This is a live look at Government Camp. That's just about 4,000 feet, and you can see we can't see some roadway here, so of course no new snow yet. Expecting that here in the next few hours. As for Sandy Am, you can see that's a little bit closer to 5,000 feet. We are seeing a few snowflakes there. That's going to last through the next few hours before temperatures start to warm up. Our last pass to take a look at tonight, Willamette Pass, and you can see it's snowing there as well, and that's at a higher elevation, 5,000 feet. But as again, we see these temperatures rise, we're going to see those snow levels rise up to about 6,000 feet. That's above pass level. So if you're traveling over the passes tomorrow, I'm someone who's headed out to Bend. Should be a little bit slushier by the time we get there. Now for Futurecast, of course, we've seen this rain coming our way. It's going to last for us all the way through Christmas Day. You can see Monday, 7:30 p.m. By the time that starts to dry out, we're already looking at Tuesday. So expect your Christmas Day tomorrow when you wake up to be wet and to stay wet all the way through the evening. We could see 1/4 of an inch of rain here in in Portland, just over that, closer to a ½ an inch in Astoria and Skamania County, where we're looking at that freezing rain, over a ½ an inch of rain there. Let's look at that 7-day forecast. Yes, Christmas Day, we've got that icon popping up just so you don't forget. And we are looking at rain nearly all week. This is pretty typical December weather. I think we've put it off as long as we can, and now we're here. We just need to accept our fate, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Pacific Northwest temperatures.
Certain. And heading to Bend, go gently, go safely. I'm sure you'll be fine.
Take your extra time.
Enjoy your family. Yeah, all right. Well, we're going to be back soon, and still to come at 11, putting a stop to rampant retail theft. The efforts from local law enforcement that they say are really finally paying off. We have an update on a story our KGW investigators have been following closely, the rise in retail theft. Our Kyle Boshi has documented the rampant problem and lack of consequences for the crooks. He went out to find out if things are improving.
We've seen the video time and time again. Brazen thieves stealing merchandise from Portland area retailers, then running out the front door with little or no fear of being arrested or prosecuted. Over the past year, we've explored the issue of retail theft in nearly a dozen reports, speaking with store owners, police, shoppers, prosecutors, and even a convicted thief. So, has the situation improved?
My sense is the situation is slowly improving.
Sergeant Craig Anderson of Portland Police admits it's difficult to measure because shoplifting often goes unreported. Recently, a trade group, the National Retail Federation, has been criticized for using inaccurate organized retail crime figures that helped amplify claims that the U.S. was experiencing a nationwide surge in shoplifting. Portland police data suggests there has been a 45% increase in shoplifting cases in 2023 compared to last year. But again, police and retailers warn those numbers are imprecise.
I would argue that it's underreported because some of these, especially these lower level ones that, let's say a $20 theft, a lot of times the retailers are like, this isn't worth our time, we're not going to even report it.
Over the past year, officers at East Precinct have tackled the problem by conducting retail theft missions. Photos and videos of their shoplifting crackdowns shared on social media. Officers have also worked with store security to ensure their reports are thorough and include surveillance video or still photos.
And so it's been easier with that relationship to put those pieces together to make a better case.
Another big change? In some cases, retailers can now submit theft reports online.
You just hit start new police report.
Previously, if there was a known suspect, retailers had to call the non-emergency line, then wait for an officer to arrive, which was time-consuming. Collectively, these improvements in reporting appear to be helping build stronger cases. Last year, a KGW investigation found Multnomah County is prosecuting less than half of all misdemeanor theft cases in Portland. Since then, prosecution rates for Theft 2 and Theft 3, which represent most shoplifting cases, have gone up. The new data indicates Multnomah County is now on par with others, such as Washington and Clackamas County, in prosecuting retail theft.
I think some of the things that have changed is our relationships and reaching out proactively from our office to retailers.
In July, Multnomah County DA Mike Schmidt and other local leaders announced a new retail theft task force, which includes a dedicated prosecutor.
Having a deputy district attorney on the scene at some of these missions means that we can give legal advice right there as police officers are making their cases.
In January 2024, new laws will take effect in Oregon targeting retail theft. The state legislature passed several bills that increase penalties and step up enforcement. Individual cases can now be added together if thefts were committed against the same or multiple victims in a one-year period. Prosecutors say the new laws will help them go after some of the most prolific thieves, like Austin Bailey. He's now serving prison time in Washington state after hitting big box retailers. Surveillance video shows his aggressive tactics, filling garbage bags with merchandise right in front of employees. Investigators say this type of criminal activity is largely driven by drugs. Often criminals steal so they can get their next fix. In the end, treating one problem, drug addiction, could help cure another. Kyle Boshi, KGW News.
Okay, still ahead, a big win for the Seahawks. where they stand in the chase for the playoffs after beating the Titans. Stay tuned. Well, welcome back. Seahawks fans got an early Christmas present this morning. A big win to keep the team's playoff hopes alive. Geno Smith threw a touchdown pass with 57 seconds left to give the Seahawks a 20-17 win on the road over the Tennessee Titans. You see it right there. The Seahawks now 8-7 on the season. The win moves the Hawks into the final playoff spot in the NFC. They do have to win their last two games against Pittsburgh and Arizona to make the playoffs. Meantime, a little NFL history today. The Detroit Lions beat the Minnesota Vikings 30-24 to clinch the NFC North Division Championship. It's the Lions' first division title since 1993, 30 years ago. And consider this, Lions starting quarterback Jared Goff had not been born yet when that happened. Now Detroit gets ready for the playoffs. Good for them. Meantime, the Seattle Mariners had quite the surprise for fans, their first big free agent signing of the offseason. The Associated Press reports the Mariners have signed catcher Mitch Garver to a 2-year deal. He only played in 87 games, but his batting numbers would bring a lot more home run power to the Mariners lineup. The franchise has come under fire from fans for not making a lot more deals this offseason, despite being one of the most profitable teams in Major League Baseball. All right, Santa is over North America as we speak. Hey, look at this. The Forest Grove Fire Department tweeting out just a few minutes ago. They've heard him. They've actually heard the bells, I think, the sleigh bells. And there may have been a sighting as well. Next, we're going to meet the crew at NORAD that's responsible for tracking Santa and keeping an eye on the skies for him. Stay tuned for that. Welcome back. Well, Santa Claus is over Tucson, Arizona right now. He's in the U.S. And once again, he'll be counting on members of the U.S. and Canadian militaries to make sure he has a clear path as he departs the North Pole and makes his rounds. NBC's Lester Holt gives us a look behind the scenes at NORAD.
The remote Arctic is North America's front door, and guarding the sprawling expanse from adversaries is the job of the North American Aerospace Defense Command, or NORAD. But not every object on NORAD's radar is an intruder, especially when Santa takes flight on Christmas Eve. I spoke to Lieutenant General Blaze Frawley to learn more about the critical mission of tracking Santa.
I know your main job is to protect the North American airspace against intruding aircraft or bad guys. So how do you use that technology to track Santa?
Our main job at NORAD is to defend North America with the binational command, U.S. and Canada collectively. We use our systems to track Santa. We use our North Warning System. As well, we use worldwide global satellites. And finally, our fighter aircraft.
NORAD's Santa tracking mission began in 1955 when a child trying to reach Santa instead called an unlisted number for the military's Continental Air Defense Command. The commander on duty, realizing what had happened, assured the child they would guarantee Santa a safe journey, a promise NORAD has kept every year.
Santa just left Kyrgyzstan.
Throughout the years, many different fighter aircraft have intercepted Santa, and we'll normally give him a wing waggle as we peel off after we've intercepted him.
Would you like to know where Santa is right now?
Thanks to that technology, millions of kids are able to call in to NORAD's Santa Tracking Hotline or log on via social media for real-time updates, making sure Santa is indeed on his way.
You just have to make sure that everybody in your house is sleeping, including moms. Merry Christmas!
How fun is that? Looks like
great.
We're looking at the Santa tracker right now. Santa just dipped into Mexico.
Cabo, pretty nice. Merry Christmas, everybody.